Sweet. So, this is my video review. I have a couple windows open here um, with my Wakelet and also with the questions. So I figured I will just go over some of these questions and emphasize some of the things I really enjoyed about this class and what I learned in this project, as well as creating this whole Wakelet. So, something that surprised me, I'm a very not tech savvy person. I grew up in the boonies and didn't have a computer until I went to college, in which I got a computer and then basically didn't use it my freshman year, hardly at all. And that was kind of my introduction to apps and different things. So when I found out I was taking ed tech, I was not too enthused. I think I kind of was worried about the class, was worried about what we are going to have to do, if it was going to be overwhelming or overbearing, just for my skill set. And that was something that really worried me. But throughout the class, I think there's a lot of good instruction. And it kind of started to come naturally after getting familiar with the different apps and the different sites we used. And Wakelet for me was, at first, I was like, holy cow. And then it was completely new, and realizing that it's a very user-friendly, easy to use blog site was awesome. So that was something that kind of shocked me at first and I was worried about. And then as the class went on, I was really excited to kind of get to do assignments and learn new things. So something that made me think, everything made me think in this class. This was almost all new things to me. I'd never used Wakelet before, had never used Edpuzzle, had never used Adobe Spark, had used Google Docs and stuff, but didn't really explore any of the apps and that. I've never had an iPad before, so that was completely new. Learning how to learn all those badges and going through all those courses and stuff was a completely new thing to me. For this course, and it was really an eye-opener, and was something that it seemed like every assignment I was learning something that I'll use in the future in my classroom or even in my business. So that was awesome. Technology in the classroom. Holy cow. Yeah, that was something that I've always wondered, because my end goal is to be a overseas teacher, a missionary teacher, somewhere in Africa, out in the boonies. And so I've always thought about ed tech in the regards of, like, how do I apply this schooling to my future end goal, my future missions, and what am I planning on? Like, how can I take the things I learned in college here over to Tanzania is where I'm planning on ending up. And so how can I kind of make the things I learned in college work over there? And so I always wonder about technology in that regard, and what's it going to look like to be in a foreign country that doesn't have Wi-Fi everywhere, or internet, or the ability to get technology. And I think it'll stink to an extent, because after taking this course, I realized how impactful technology can be, how resourceful it can be, how easy it can make class, how it can really enable students to learn a ton, and to have access to a lot of sweet apps or sweet games or sweet different resources, basically, that they can learn from, and they can really expand their knowledge without necessarily having to be told to as a teacher. And our world is definitely moving towards a lot more technology, which is great. In that regards, and I think of all the little kids who I have helped with nowadays, or been in classrooms with nowadays, that know how to use their iPhones almost better than I do, and that just blows my mind. And so I think technology in the classroom is a must, especially with where our world's going, and how it is the future. I mean, technology is everywhere, and it makes things so much easier and so much more accessible, that if we aren't working on it with our students, then I think that we're being silly. So it's something that we need to apply as much as we can, and it's also something that I'm going to have to work on if I go overseas, to see what can I get to my students, or are there going to be technology options in these smaller classrooms, third world countries. So that's a great question. Something from my Wakelet collection that I totally enjoyed and really loved was my first off, the Google Docs about the rainforest. I thought that was super sweet. I got on a rainforest kick throughout like the last couple assignments and was just learning tons of stuff about the rainforest, about the water cycle. So if you look through the last couple assignments, that's all they were about. And I am looking forward so much to teaching about the water cycle someday, because I'm going to basically pull up this Wakelet collection and have a whole month's worth of teaching stuff. But my favorite is probably, what was it? The Adobe Spark video that I made. I thought that was awesome. Making a lesson on water, and also, the lesson plan. Those are probably my two favorites on my Wakelet. I think I put a lot of time into my video lesson, and it turned out awesome, and I enjoyed it. And I'm sure I'll go back and revamp it eventually, but it was something that I was really proud of on my Wakelet and was excited to share. And like, I showed my parents and my friends, and that was probably my most prized project throughout my whole Wakelet collection. And it was just cool to see how, like, going through my Wakelet, what I've accomplished, all of the different videos and all the cool lesson plans and the posters. Oh yeah, I definitely love my infographic too. That was cool. That was a fun little put together, and trying to make it all look neat and exciting and what a student might like. So that was probably my second one. Yeah. Favorite apps. Probably one of my new favorite apps is, let me think. Probably the Adobe Spark video stuff. It was super easy to make videos on that. And learning how to use Edpuzzle. I think that's something, if I have a technology-based classroom in the future where we have like a one-to-one or something like that, then I will definitely use Edpuzzle in the future to give assignments out and quizzes and to help kind of maneuver through my classes. That was a really cool one, really easy to make stuff like that. And also just all the different things I learned on Google Docs and how to use some of the different Apple apps they have, like on the iPad, or some of the different deals that Google has for like their templates, their documents, their projects, all their cool little gizmos that are inside the main Google setup and platform. So there are some things in there I never got to experience, but I really enjoyed that. And yes, I heard nothing on teaching online. Teaching online and remotely, if I had to do it, I would prefer not to, but especially with the pandemic we're in right now, and with where our kind of seems we might be for the next year or so, I think if I had to teach online, I would use a lot of the platforms that we did. But one of my favorite things that I've had some of my professors do is just having the weekly meetings and having the catching up and how are you doing, and keeping that very good open communication face to face. And I think if I end up taking online classes, because that was something as well as I've been thinking about going online. I plan on getting married in the next couple months, and my future wife will be moving to Texas, and so that means I would have a year left of schooling. And I've always been curious of how am I going to do online for a kid like me who has ADHD, who likes to do crazy stuff outside of school that often distracts me from doing my schoolwork. And so I've always wondered how online is going to look in this course, as well as everything that we're going through right now, just as a school and as a state and a nation, has shown me that for me, it's something that I need more one-on-one with my online teachers. And so taking that and applying that to my future classroom, I know that I would have to basically take every student and find out what their strengths are and what their weaknesses are, and see how I can accurately and efficiently and effectively teach each and every student. And so for some students, it may just be, hey, they need an Edpuzzle every week that gets them on track, or an email of, hey, here's what we're doing. or even like we made the other day, the hyperdocs. That was something awesome that I think would be sweet for certain students, could really benefit from that. And then there's also going to be the students like me who need that one-on-one contact and that check-in and that explained, hey, this is exactly how I want you to do this, and this is what you need to be learning and working on, and how can I help you work on what you're doing. And so I've had some professors who have been awesome about that, and I've had others who have kind of left it up in the air, and it's been a struggle for me. So that's something I learned through this whole pandemic and through this class, as well as how can we communicate with our students, and how can we just help them achieve their goals and be the best teachers that we can be, so that we can have the best students and the most successful students as well. My wow moment for this semester. Oh, well, actually, I had one like yesterday. One of them was the fact that I learned when I was making one of my presentations, and this isn't like I'm probably sure this isn't the answer to the question, but this is one of the coolest things I've learned this whole semester, was that cumulonimbus thunderstorm clouds can weigh up to 8.7 billion pounds. I learned that through a kindergartner's poster like yesterday, and it was the coolest thing ever. But one of my wow moments was probably when I finished my my Spark page lesson plan, and I looked back at it and realized how effectively I think I could teach a lesson through a PowerPoint or through my Adobe Spark page. I think that was probably one of the coolest things for me, was when I saw the whole finished project and I was like, holy cow, I made that. That was awesome. And this could totally work in my classroom, and I will totally use this tool in the future. That was probably one of the coolest things for me, was putting the work in and looking at what I've created, and then thinking about how something that I just created in a couple hours is going to be a tool that will shape minds for like the next however many years I teach. And so that was probably my wow moment, was realizing how effective I can be with technology, especially being a guy who comes from like a house where we had a TV with the knob on it until like I graduated high school, which was like 5 years ago. So it was just pretty neat to realize the things I can do and what I'm capable of without even thinking, and with being kind of scared coming into it. And yeah, I think that's about it for the questions. And so just a recap with my Wakelet and everything. I was looking back at all this, it's just crazy of how much we've put into this class. I've been super excited to do a lot of the projects. Some of them I wasn't looking forward to and I was kind of worried about, and then I would start doing them, and I got so into them that I started learning things that I'd never learned before, or I would start thinking about how if I were to teach a lesson on this, I'm going to go back through a lot of these and revamp this little section, or work on something here, or add stuff in here, or make this longer. And it's crazy how I put the time in with a lot of these to get them done. And then when I sat back and kind of looked at them, I was like, okay, I can, spice this up, or I can add something here, or I can make a cooler video here. If I have a week's worth of time to put in the summer and some of the stuff, I could really make my Wakelet a very, very cool, very effective teaching tool. So overall, I think this class was at first very scary for me, and now I am excited going into the future and seeing what I'll be capable of, and also just, I think it'll be funny to look back one day and to be using a lesson in 10 or 15 years that I started when I was in college, or that I first created when I was in college, and I can just see all this stuff lasting forever, and some of the things I made I'm just very proud of, and I think it'll be cool to see where I take them. So EdTech, it's been fun. Thank you so much for everything that you have taught me. And I'm looking forward to summer and getting some time to work on a couple of these little projects, hopefully. So that's my review, and that's my wrap up. Go Cats.